and why I talk. I don't know. We'll
Maybe.
find out.
I think we're live, though. Is there a delay? There might be a delay.
Mm-hmm.
I never noticed. But welcome to DoubleBookedCo's reading sprints. I'm actually really excited for this book that we're going to be reading. But everyone out there, welcome, welcome. If you're watching this in replay, thank you for joining us for reading sprints.
Mm-hmm.
It's always super fun to know that you're out there reading with us, even if it's not live. So, yeah. I'm going to be wearing my headphones because I'm going to be listening to our book on audio. Because I heard that it's a dramatized version with multiple readers. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to be super fun.
Yeah, very.
But if you are not reading our book club pick with us, let us know in the comments what you will be reading. And you can do that while Laura and I talk about what our books will be for October.
Mm-hmm.
So Laura, you want to take it away?
Yep. I won't read summaries again because we just did that in our new release. And I think people probably know mostly what they are about. But our first pick of our kind of spooky, creepy whatevers is In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. Number 2 is The Physic Book of Deliverance Dane by Catherine Howe. And I think this was her first book, so a little difference in covers. But I think that's funny that this is the same, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That piece of paper is the same, the key is the same, but everything else is different between the editions. Anyways, and our last one is a chunky one, and that's The Clockmaker's Daughter by Kate Morton. So there we go. So you'll have 2 weeks from roughly tonight, tomorrow-ish to vote on any of these 3 when we go this way. There we go. And hopefully it'll be something excellent. It will be anyways. But yeah, those are our 3 choices to pick for October.
Looks like Allie is here. Hello,
Allie.
hello.
Good morning, Allie.
Good morning, yes. Top of the morning. It's super early where you are. So, yeah. I have been doing so much like ebook reading, which I'm really happy about, but at the same time, like, I think to myself, like, are these books like books I would normally read? Which I wouldn't, but I'm thoroughly happy that I've been reading so much. Like,
yeah,
I've been
awesome.
reading a ton, but it's just kind of like, oh, well, I actually read those in real life. Which I lost a bunch of them because there was bonus buys on Hoopla, and I just downloaded a ton of books, and I'm just realizing I'm looking, and I'm going to have to re-download all of them because they're all already returned. So, but that's okay. It's okay. I think there's more bonus buys this month. I think there's actually bonus buys every month. They just make it look like it's only that month specific, but they probably change out titles and stuff. But what was really nice about that, so if you're just joining us, we're just chit-chatting, so definitely say hello in the comments. Hi, Andy. And in the month, so we're talking, I do a lot of reading on Hoopla, which is a service to the library where you get free, a limited amount of borrows of audiobooks, ebooks, stuff like that. And I have just been like reading a ton out of there, and I really have been excited about it because it's allowed me to start reading books that I wouldn't normally have picked up, and I found a lot that I actually really liked, including that one that I shared with you, Laura, which was The Death of a Kitchen Diva.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked that book, and I read it as an ebook. So I'm going to be looking forward to reading the rest in that series. That's a Lee Hollis book. I really liked that one.
I know, it sounded really good too, and not super typical for like a cozy mystery or a not violent mystery book, just like a mystery. It just sounded really good. You have to check that out.
And I feel like sometimes with the cozy mysteries, they try to interject this like romantic element, and not necessarily being romancy where like anything really happens, but sometimes it's just really, it's too much. Like it's really stressed, or it just seems like not organic.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, I feel like something is organically happening, but you can't really tell like with whom, because there's options there, but they're not really options. You're wondering, like in your reader self, you're like, oh, I wonder if something's going to happen there, because something's going to happen. It's a cozy mystery. There's always something. But then as you continue to read, you're like, well, maybe it won't happen. And I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that. I really like that a lot.
Nice.
I don't know what that says.
Oh, no, I haven't. Actually, no, I had to cancel. My lady got COVID for the very first time, and she is like super paranoid. Yeah, haircut. Yeah. No, she's been so careful the last 2 years and not seeing a lot of people, and her mom is really, really sick. So she has been so careful, and she got it, and then she didn't have it again. She was waiting, in the day before, was it her last day to be quarantined? She got it again because her husband was sick. So she got reinfected. She's so mad. So no, I am way overdue actually for a haircut.
Your hair is actually pretty long. I think this is probably the longest I've ever seen you with hair. Yeah, except maybe during COVID.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty, I guess it's long. I don't know, just, it's like this length to this length. That's pretty much where I just kind of keep, not a huge difference. My whole life has pretty much been this way. Since I got the choice to do my own hair and not have my mom cut my hair and perm it and everything. Yeah, it's pretty much been this length. No spiral perms. Mm-hmm. So
kind of switching off while we're kind of waiting for more of our peeps to pop in. Yeah. Have you been watching any good TV lately?
No. I have been watching Welcome to Wrexham. It's on Hulu, but it's also on FX, about Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney buying the Wrexham Football Club in Wales. I really am liking that, and I'm not a sports person, but I'm really enjoying that. Otherwise, I have, unless I'm forgetting something, and you can tell me, I don't think I have, though. I've pretty much just been watching compilations or full shows of British comedians on YouTube, like, all the time. Trying to, like, myself up, make myself laugh, whatever, and then I find someone new I like, and then I can go search for them specifically. So it's been a lot of that on YouTube lately for me. So not a ton of TV, but yeah, a little. How about you? Well, you were doing Top Chef, right?
Oh my gosh, I've been watching the crap out of Top Chef, and I think so. I figured out why I think they are taking it off of Hulu. So I've seen all of Top Chef. I watched it from the beginning, and I have rewatched certain seasons. But then all of a sudden, like a week or so ago, I was like, I really want to watch the season where Richard Blais wins, because I love Richard Blais. I think he's amazing. So I wanted to see him win again. So I watched that, and I was like, you know what? I want to watch it all from the beginning. I want to see them all again. Like, oh, it's going to be so awesome. So I started at the beginning, and I watched the first season, which the first season is the worst season. It's terrible. The host is terrible. The whole thing is terrible. I don't think any of them should win. I don't think the person who won should have won. I don't think the persons who were in the finale should have been in the finale. It was just a terrible season. But regardless, I watched that whole season, and then I start season 2, and I watched that whole season, and that's the season with Marcel. And I really appreciate that season this time around, because I used to really dislike Marcel, and Marcel came back in the Richard Blais season 2. Marcel just can't win. But I saw him in a different light in this season, because he was like, everyone hated him. He's terrible. He's this whatever. And when I watched it again, I was like, you know what? Yes, he is cocky. And yes, he does say some things out of turn. But when you watch it after rewatching it, like I've seen the season at least twice or more. This probably was my 3rd time or 4th time watching it. I was like, you know what? No, they all painted that picture, and because they all globbed on to this like idea that he was such a jerk, it was like an entire group of people against one person. So he was backed into a corner like the entire season. So the more I was watching it, I was like, you know what? He's not that bad. They're irritated by his presence, so they're making certain situations worse. And he's not doing anything. Like he says one thing and they all just up in arms about it. So I was like, wow, he's not that bad. So I was happy that, but what I was trying to get, I walk around the pond when I tell stories. But I finished that season and I was starting season 3, and all of a sudden it says it's going to expire in 14 days. And I was like, what do you mean it's going to expire? So all of the Top Chef episodes that are available on Hulu right now are going to expire in now it's 10 days, because now that Peacock is streaming and a paid service, Peacock is run by NBC, who also owns Bravo. So they're streaming Top Chef on Peacock. So now because they're doing that, I'm sure they're pulling a bunch of stuff that Bravo has on Hulu, which they don't have all of their shows, but they have Top Chef. I think they're pulling all of their Bravo shows from Hulu and they're putting on Peacock. So now you'd have to buy that service if you wanted to stream Top Chef, which I'm not going to do. Thankfully, I've seen them all, but there's a new season, Houston, and I don't know if they're going to only stream the new seasons on Hulu or if they're just straight up Bravo's taking it over to Peacock. I don't know. But I'm not buying another service just for one show.
I know.
So, anywho. It looks like Amy joined the party. Hi,
Hello,
Amy. Nice to see you. While I was chit-chatting away, Allie's asking if you know Victoria Wood.
Yeah, I do really like her very much. I haven't watched her in a long time. I've been watching a lot of stuff like compilations from the Apollo. This is just between me and Allie. Everyone else just ignore this. So a lot of people at the Apollo. And there was one guy, I'm going to describe him very poorly, and I have seen him a couple times before, but not that often, so he's not like a bigger name like Dara O'Brien or somebody. He's probably not a big name. But he is, he was talking about dating in the 80s. One of his most recent things I saw from probably 5 or 10 years ago. He's got kind of longer, like this length, dark curly hair. I think he's Northern England, and he's got kind of a lisp when he talks. Oh, this is going to drive me crazy. I don't know, but I watched him yesterday and I laughed a lot too. But did Victoria Wood do the Apollo, Allie? I haven't seen her on any compilations so far. I've just seen her other stuff, like just from stand-ups or whatever. It's like clips of things. But I do like her. I do like Victoria Wood. Sorry. Everyone else can listen now.
Oh, you're funny. She'll respond, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's good to know. My luck, it won't be the stuff I want to watch.
Or it'll be like one episode maybe is free to get you hooked, and then you'll have to do the rest.
Yeah. I did watch all of Only Murders in the Building. Oh, yeah. And that was really good. I really did like that season. I feel like I liked the first season better because, the first season always is what gets you. But the second season I felt like was really good. I liked that, like, it felt like it just picked up right where it left off. Like, it didn't feel like they stopped filming. It was just like, boom, right into the second season. But I'm not sure what they're going to do in this third season because they always, always leave it on a cliffhanger. And I'm just like, what? Like, that actor is not going to be in this show. Because there's someone at the very end who is the person who is the murdered person for the next season. But that person who will probably be in the next season because you'll have to see what happened prior to them being murdered, I'm just like, he's not going to be on this show. Like, there's no way he's going to be on this show. But if he is on this show, I'm going to be watching that the second it comes out because I absolutely love this actor. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, there's no way he's going to be in this show. But I do really like that show. That's a really good show.
Yeah, that's what other than that, I know I need to, because everyone I talk to is like, oh my god, it's so amazing, you need to watch it.
It is pretty good. It is pretty good. I unfortunately am stuck in the rhythm of like having to wait for it to release itself. So like I'm always like only able to watch one episode at a time because I'm like on it. which I'm okay with. I mean, that's how we used to watch TV, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But then I also I'm big into cooking shows. So Master Chef is on. So we're down to the finale. And other than that, I mean, my Disney vloggers, which I'm getting kind of nervous because I'm like 50-50 because I just found out from a podcast that I listen to on YouTube, which is about Disney stuff. They talk a lot about vloggers.
Yeah.
They talk a lot about vloggers.
Uh-huh.
I found out that Disney might be saying no more vloggers at Disney.
Oh no.
Why are you
There goes all
laughing?
your YouTube watching. I'm laughing because before I met you, I didn't know that Disney vloggers were a thing, let alone that there were so many channels. And then the more I talk to you about this stuff, and I love this, by the way, I think it's great. But like, you're like, oh, I was watching this other person that's like all tea, like all gossip on all the Disney vloggers. Like, you watch a channel about that, right? And I was like, what? And now you're telling me to listen to a podcast who also talks about his vloggers as well. It just cracks me up. I love it.
I think it's the same thing. I think we're talking about the same thing. But they were saying today that in Disney Tokyo, they're banning all vloggers and like stuff like that. Anything that is for commercial use. And so it's like, oh, are they going to do that in the United States? Which I don't think so, because Tokyo Disney is not owned completely by Disney. And Japan has way different standards of like hospitality and all that kind of thing. So I think it's more a cultural difference between Japan, who wants to like make the experience more special for their guests, whereas the Americans are like, whatever, do what you want. Do a TikTok in the middle of Main Street. But like, because I love watching, that's half of my YouTube viewage right there is all my Disney vloggers. They'd be out of business. But anywho, back to the books. What is everyone else saying?
It's got to be for me, like when I talk about my planner people that I follow and stuff, you must be like, oh yeah, here's talking about this again. Same kind of thing.
I do not. I go, sure, let's talk about this.
I know.
Are you saying you're bored when I talk about my Disney people?
No, not at all. It just cracks me up because there's this whole like subculture of a subculture that I didn't know existed until I started talking to you. Like I really had no idea. So it just cracks me up. And there are more layers every time.
There are so many layers. There's so many layers. Sometimes I feel like writing a letter to some of them to tell them how they can do better. Because like the one that I stopped watching for a while, but then I came back and I started watching him again. And then he started to like, because he complains a lot. He complains a lot about how he's not getting enough views and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, why you're not getting any views is because you're complaining about not getting any views. Yep. Just be better. Be yourself. Stop worrying about everyone else and stop worrying about how many views you have.
Yep.
And to be honest, if you did stuff with the other vloggers, then maybe you'd get more views, because the thing is us people at home, we like to see the camaraderie between all of the vloggers. When we're watching someone's vlog and we see another vlogger that we like to watch in your vlog, we're like, whoa, they know each other in real life. Isn't that so cool? Like, we feel like we're part of the team. And you don't do any of that. You are all so separate, and you think you're better than everyone else. And that's why your views go down. Because you're Debbie Downer in the corner. Anyway, let's get back to the books. Okay. So, I don't think that Victoria Wood did the Apollo. Yeah. Oh, Amy says that the first 5 seasons of The Office is free. I think I own the first 5 seasons of The Office. But it's streaming nowadays. You don't even, you're like, I
know, you forget.
Those are relics. It is at least not one episode, but it might be worth signing up for free stuff.
There are a couple of shows that are just only on the app, I think, like Girls 5 Eva. I really want to watch Girls 5 Eva, but I don't. That's like the one app I don't have. There's 2 I don't have. But I have all the other ones, and it's sort of like I'm not spending $10 a month.
It's like, why did we come to this? Why?
Yeah. I know. I
And sometimes you'll
can't
see a
do it yet.
preview on YouTube for like a really good looking show, and then it'll be like Apple TV, and I'm like,
Right.
I don't have that crap.
Mm-hmm. Or AMC Plus. I don't have that. Like, ugh, I know.
Annie's enjoying the House of Dragon and Rings of Power, soon Handmaid's Tale. I will say the preview for Handmaid's Tale looks really good, but I never got into that, and I don't really plan on doing it. I have the book, which I still haven't read, but it's like, again, not something I'm like super high on my list. So
Yeah. Nice.
Good luck trying to ban vloggers in Hong Kong Disneyland. You know, they say what these podcasters said is a lot of times what they do is they test things in Japan, and then it starts to slowly come forward to the other parks, ending in the US parks. So like they started the Genie Plus stuff out there, which again, this is all like mumbo jumbo stuff. Like we've been sitting here talking about nonsense for 20 minutes. I am so sorry.
We're really good at it.
Exactly. Just be better. Okay. Anywho, let's be better, and let's get on this train of reading. Yes. So for you all, I don't think anybody said what they were reading, and that's okay because I totally got us off track. But I know Laura and I will be reading Lucy Foley's The Guest List. I will be reading it on audiobook. So I'll be doing that and working on our Etsy stuff. So I'm excited to get this going. But let us know in the comments, and we'll check in with you after our sprint here. So we're at about 4:55. So let's come back at the 15, and I'll put a banner up for us. Okay. Where are we here? Let's see. Here we go. But we'll go for 20 minutes because that seems to be a really good span of time for us. So we'll sprint to the 15. I'm going to use one of our good friend Mary's ASMRs, and I'm hoping that we can hear the music because I'm muted on this. So let me see if I can share my screen and get that going. I'll put the volume as low as I can, so it's not as, let's see if that works. Cute. Can you hear anything? I don't know that I can hear anything.
I can't hear anything.
I think because I have to mute me and then unmute this. So I'll put the volume on when I've muted myself so we don't have an echo. But that'll be the background that we will use. Thank you, Mary, for putting together wonderful things for us. This is Mary's YouTube channel, Mary M Pod. You could subscribe to her. She's gotten a lot of different reading backgrounds, and she's starting to do sprints on there too. So a lot of fun things to do on there. But like I said, let's go ahead and sprint to the 15, and we'll see what everyone's reading afterward.
Nice.
Super. Okay, good luck. Okay. So we are back. Let us know what you were able to accomplish during that sprint. I actually had to go and help with a very sad baby, so I only listened to a little bit. I mean, I'm not very far at all. I'm 5% in, so haven't finished the first chapter. I'm about 14 minutes in. So, how did you do?
Nice. Okay, I had a hard time getting into it. I had to keep rereading lines at first, so I only got 26 pages in. I'm in Jono's first chapter, the best man. So
I think I'm in the chapter with the +1. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what everyone else is reading. Ermagerd,
Oh.
Amy. It is so good.
Yeah.
It is so good. And you have to read the entire series because it will blow your mind. It's so good. How far did you get?
Nice. How are the Packers, by the way?
Yeah.
If you still have
How
the
are
game
the
up,
Packers
I'm assuming.
Amy, yes. Yeah, I saw that you read it. I kind of saw that you did a review on it, and then I was like, I don't want to read this because I want to be surprised. Oh, she's crying again. I don't know. There's something about a mommy's touch. It's phenomenal experience because she just like zips it when I touch her, and then not so much for everyone else. But anywho, yeah, I like the audio. It's in Ireland, I guess, so you have Irish characters, so I like hearing that accent. Oh my gosh. I mean, quite frankly, are we surprised?
No, not really.
Oh my gosh.
Whitechapel's
That's so funny.
Ooh,
Well, good for you. Yeah, what is Whitechapel Scarlet Tracy's about? Yes, very good.
I feel like I'd have to just concentrate on that, and I couldn't do anything else,
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
Welcome.
Oh, you're never late.
No, we'll be here for a little while.
You join us whenever you'd like. Awesome. What are you reading? We're all so welcoming. So cool. Let's see here. I did some straightening and read 15 pages.
Nice.
Page 28. Yes. You are going to love it.
Nice.
So good. Oh no. I don't even know who they're playing. Such a terrible Wisconsinite. I have no idea. I know that they're going to be facing the Giants in London, but I only really know that because of the London part.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Made tea, talked to the dog. That's important. Read 4 pages of your book. That's awesome. Good for you. So yeah, I don't know what to say about this book so far, but it reminds me of an episode of Sherlock.
Okay.
Which was a wedding episode.
Oh yeah.
And it also reminds me, I think there was an episode of Midsummer Murders, which was, yeah, it was a wedding episode. Yeah. And it reminds me of that. And it also reminds me of, and I have never read this, but I feel like maybe because it's been compared to it, but And Then There Were None.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The island setting for sure.
Yeah. So, oh, it's the Vikings. Oh,
that's not
we're
good.
getting squashed by the Vikings. My brother and sister-in-law are probably loving this because she's from Minnesota. So, Minnesota. Well, I mean, I did get some work done with that Etsy, kinda. I mean, I did have to step away for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
The thing is she's really tired right now, and she wants to go to sleep, but she wants to go to sleep in my arms instead of just being, down. It's not working. And she likes to sleep on this side and eat on this side, and my husband does it the opposite way because I don't know, something about arm strength. I don't know. So
he'll figure it out, and she'll survive.
she will. She will.
Mm-hmm.
0 to 20, but I mean they've got like 4 hours left, right? So
yeah, they just started that. That's
maybe
not
we'll bring it back around.
Thanks.
Itching to discuss. I think that is so funny.
Well, Allie, without saying anything, did you guess like who did it or who was killed? I don't even know who the dead person is. I'm assuming there's a dead person. I don't know if it's a guest or if we're. I don't know. Must be a guest.
I'm assuming it's the bride that dies.
Okay. That could be.
Isn't that usually how it goes? It's usually the bride that dies. There's got to be someone dies who is the whole reason why everyone's there.
Yeah.
So the bride or the groom, and I always assume it's the bride.
Could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
And Amy, you read this too. Did you guess who done it?
Third quarter.
Ahead of time. Okay. Third quarter already? Oh my gosh.
Started 2 hours ago.
Oh yeah, it has been 2 hours.
Yeah. Shows how much we know about football.
I know. I'm just not aware of time like that. I'm not good. It's like I'm used to looking at appointments and things, not just like if I'm home, I'm just doing whatever and I'm not looking at the clock anymore. So yeah, I feel like we did not just start this.
Looks like she guessed who died, but didn't guess who did it.
Okay. Interesting.
Man, we should, next time we read a mystery novel together, we should play like Clue. Like figure out who all the characters are and then like put in a little envelope who we think did it. And then we can open it up at the end and be like, yeah. I win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had to slow mine down. I had it at 2 speed, which is what I usually read at. But what I have noticed with reading dramatized book is that female readers read faster than male readers. So when it switches, it's hard to keep up because you're so used to hearing one speed and then all of a sudden it changes. So it's too much for my brain to handle. So I brought it down to 1.75.
For me, no matter, I can do books now too, usually, something like that. But when I start a book, I have to leave it at like 1 or 1.25, just the regular speed, till I get used to like the narrator and who the main characters are, and then I can speed it up after that. But like I started listening to, I'm looking it up over there, Red, White, and Royal Blue. So listening to that, but I didn't pay enough attention to the names of the 2 main characters, and I was like 15% in, and I'm like, I don't even know who this person is. I gotta stop this book. I have to start again because it was just fast right away, and I was doing something, and I wasn't listening, like paying attention. So yeah, gotta start slow, and then I couldn't speed up once I know what's happening.
Yeah, the worst was when I was listening to all the Penny Reed books, the Beard books, because they go back and forth between the male protagonist and the female protagonist, and the boys, which all have this like southern drawl, are slower in their speech. And then you go to the girl and be like, blah, 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 and I'll be like, oh my gosh, like it's so vastly different than the chapter before. And sometimes, I mean, I was doing a lot of driving during that time too, and I was like, I can't switch this mid, I can't. So I had to bring that down because it was just like, there was this specific female narrator who narrated a bunch of them, and every time it was her chapter, I was just like, whoa, like you are so fast. But the male character who voiced all of the brothers, he's the voice for all of it, is frigging tastic. I love his voice, and he does you really feel like it's a different voice every single brother. Like they have a different inflection and everything. He does such a perfect job. So I was really at a good speed for him, but then it would switch over to the girl, and I'd be like, "Oh my goodness gracious,
lady,
lady, calm down."
Yeah.
Anywho, let's see. Ginny is reading a BookTube Prize book, Great Circle.
Oh, nice.
Did you read that one?
No, I didn't ever get that one. That's fiction. I only read nonfiction.
Oh, okay. Also just starring The Last House on Needless Street.
Ooh, that's supposed to be so good, but super creepy.
Approaching this one with caution, she says.
Yeah.
Oh, creepy books.
I would be too. Oof.
Allie says she also guessed who died, but can't say if she guessed who did it without explaining something that would give away things. Oh. Gotcha.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah. Yes. Andy, I agree. I can do it faster when following along because, and I didn't know this until like a couple months ago, I actually read faster than the audiobook speed because I was trying to follow along once at 2 speed and I was like, I can't do this. It's too slow. Like I'm reading ahead of the audiobook. So yeah, that I can put faster. Because I'm like, whoa, I did not realize that I actually read faster. Here I thought I was like, you know, doing a 1-up and like, oh, I'm getting so much done because the audiobook's faster than I can read it. And no, it's not. It's just that. Yeah. This is fun.
In case anyone's curious, I looked it up. The male narrator for the Penny Reed books, or that series, is Chris Brinkley. Not Christy Brinkley, Chris Brinkley.
Yeah, he sounds hot. That's all I have to say. Like in the 8 versions of Men he does. It sounds hot. I don't know if it's 8, but
him right away.
Page 481.
Oh wow!
You go, girl.
That's right. You got it. You got it.
You can do it.
They really were, weren't they? Really, really big books. I know a lot of stuff in nonfiction too was pretty chunky. I think there was one book I had in semifinals that was like 200 pages, and I was so thankful for that book because, oh my gosh. And you have to read all of them. I mean, you can't really skip, skim or whatever. I know. Keep going, girl. You can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for not giving anything away. Well, shall we get started again? These sprints are hilarious because I don't get as much reading done as I think I am. So I'm glad that I'm doing a audiobook, first of all. But I'm going to have to close down my screen here because I do have to do some pumping in this next sprint so that baby girl has something to eat. But yeah, I'll be listening to the audiobook, which will be great because I can multitask. But it looks like Melissa is here. Hi, Melissa.
Oh,
it's
hello.
So nice.
Hi.
I think this means touchdown.
Ooh.
Okay, I know it means touchdown. Yay, Packers.
Go Packers.
Looks like Allie only did 1 round of fiction. Got a couple of bricks. Yep. Translated fiction. I'm glad they added that this year, but I heard it was kind of a rigmarole to try to get it all figured out.
Yeah.
Because it's so much more when you add a whole other thing of books. You add a whole other round of people.
Do you want to see a picture of Chris Brinkley, your narrator crush?
Sure. Is he not hot?
He just looks like a regular guy.
He does look like a regular guy. Mm-hmm. And damn, good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate that. It's growing on me. Well, technically it is. It is actually still growing. Growing on me. Okay, let's 2 fiction, 2 translated. Good for you.
Wow.
Oh, that baby girl. She's having a hard time. Okay, let's go ahead and get another round in here. And I'm going to get our sprint here. So we're at like 5:31. Let's go ahead and do to the, what is that, 55?
Sure.
55.
I'm gonna
Let's
go
do
close my
55.
blinds so not everyone can see what me reading with all these lights on. I have a ring light over here that would try and help, so it'd be a little less dark, but I don't think it matters too much. It's just me reading. So I'm gonna go close the fishbowl, as I say.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go get my stuff done, and I'll see
Good
you
luck.
back in 20 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so we are back from our holiday sprint. How did everyone do? I actually was not able to do what I wanted to do during that last sprint. I was helping with the baby. Because that's how it goes. That's okay. Yeah. So I'll be doing that again. Or I'll be trying to do what I tried to do this time. I did listen to about 5 more minutes of the book. So I'm still in the same chapter as I was before. How did you do?
I got 30 pages read, so I'm on 56. So, yeah.
Or is it a little bit easier to get into for you now?
Yeah, it's just you following 4 people. So I was waiting to be like 5 or 6 or 7. It's just 4 people, so that helps. I mean, there are more characters, obviously, but yeah, it's picking up. I want to just keep reading. Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I've only had the 2 so far, so hopefully in this next sprint I'll be able to jump through some more perspectives.
Nice.
So, how did everyone else do? Looks like Amy is 28 pages of Good Girls Guide to Murder.
Nice.
Girl, it's good. Keep going. I might reread those. They were so good.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I don't reread a lot of books. Mm-hmm. We actually, so I read those books with Naomi over at Naomi's Bookshelf.
Yeah.
So if you have heard of Naomi, you know how great she is. And if you haven't, please do feel free to check out Naomi's Bookshelf. She has a fantastic channel. And she reads a ton of books. And I don't know how, I think I had mentioned like buddy reading or something, and she reached out to me and said, let's buddy read. Here's a few books that we share on our TBRs of like wanting to read. And she's like, what about this one? And I was like, oh, okay. So we got it from our libraries and we read it in 2 days. We could not stop reading that book. And then the next month we're like, let's just get the next one. Again, read it in 2 days. Next month, same thing, read it in 2 days. And now there is like you know how some books will do like a 0.5?
Yeah, the in-betweens.
Yeah. So there's that, and it's called Killjoy or something like that was just released. And she bought it on Amazon because she's bought the series now. But my library is going through a like refurbishment. They're like tearing the building down and like they're like doing crazy stuff. So it's like across town, and I don't like to go that side of town. So, and I don't know if they would have that one. And I looked to see if it was on Audible, and it's not. So I don't know if we'll be reading that one together. But but I'm really tempted to find it. I don't want to buy it because I didn't buy any of the rest of the series, and I don't know that I will right now. And you know me, I don't really buy a lot of new books and stuff like that. So I'm like, I don't know if I can bring myself to do that. But Amy, it is fantastic. It's the best book I've read in a really long time. Best book series that I've read in a really long time. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. Looks like we got page 59. You guys are on like the same page, right?
Almost, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice. Aw, well that makes me feel so good. Like I'm glad people listen, and I'm glad that you're liking it based on my recommendation. I would hate for me to be like all gung ho about a book and then you start reading and you're like, this is crap, Dani. What are you talking about? Yes, Allie, it is a YA series, and I usually don't read a lot of YA books just because I've really not enjoyed a lot of it. Now that I'm outside of that realm, but it really doesn't feel like it feels like YA, but at the same time, it's like not. There's no like teenage angst and like all that crappity crap that makes me not like YA. It's really good. It's just the characters are good. There's so much, and I feel like I should do like a dedicated review for that series because there's just so much goodness. But I think I would have to reread the books to be able to do that. Yeah, it's good. Get it. Holly Jackson is the author. She's a British author. YA. Yeah, you won't stop, Amy. You're gonna be late for school tomorrow because you can't stop. It's so good. Like what I found out, what Naomi and I found out, which is why it only took 2 days to read it, is the beginning of that book. There are only so many places where you could like legit stop and be like, okay, I can put this down until tomorrow. But once you hit a certain part of that book, there's no stopping. Like I was cooking and reading that book. Like I was cooking dinner and reading that book. I just couldn't put it down. Couldn't put it down at all. It was insane. I was obsessed with that book. I had to know what was going to happen. It was so good. So good. Yes. Allie, this is exactly why I struggle with YA, because it's so dramatic and for no good reason. And there are some books I feel like they are ruined by the angsty part, the teenage angsty part. They're like, the plots are so fantastic, and then you put in this whole romantic piece, which I totally get. YA books, young adults at that part of their life, that is a big portion of what they're dealing with themselves. But as a reader, and even when I was a YA reader, sometimes it was kind of like it was too much. It was too dramatic. Like, for instance, the Divergent series. I read that around the same time that I read the Hunger Games series, which they are very similar books. But I could not finish the Divergent series. I think I only read the first book because the main character and like the love interest, I think his name is Tobias, could not stand. It was so ridiculously gooey, gross that I couldn't stand it, which is funny because when you look at Hunger Games, there's a love triangle, and I hate love triangles. I think they're stupid, but I enjoyed that far more than Divergent. And there's people that will argue that like tooth and nail, but I can't stand the drama. You totally nail on head. Like, I don't like drama in it. Dorothy Must Die, that whole series. I read the first one, and there's this like male character that the main girl, which I think her name is, I can't remember what her name is. She's like in lovish with this dude who is so mysterious and stuff, but gets in the way of the plot on several occasions. I think he's like trying to like train her how to sword fight, and she's thinking about it while they're trying to sword fight. And I'm just like, can you just put it away for 5 seconds? So it's so annoying to me. And I get it. It's part of that genre. I get it, but it's like, yeah, I can't read YA. It's very few and far between. So the Good Girls Guide is excellent. I had no qualms with what was in there. It was really good. There you go. Yeah, I feel like that's a trend in this book club.
I've been old my entire life, so I totally understand. I do like a lot of YA. I was just old enough to not catch when YA started becoming a thing. Like, I'm just a little bit past it. Like 5 years or something, I would say. It probably got a little popular. And I've read quite a bit of it, and I do like it, but that's not what I mostly read. I was always into like serious books, like literary stuff and classics and mystery. Mm-hmm. That was a little bit thing too, but so I really missed a lot of it. But the ones that I have read, like I read the Divergent series. I didn't read the last one yet because it wasn't out at the time, but I read the first 2 back to back, and I really, really liked them. I just inhaled them in a day each. It was fine. But again, I hardly ever read it, so like, that was fine for me. I never read Hunger Games. I didn't really care about it. I read the first book, I should say, like a long time ago, way after the movies were out, way after everything, and I was like, it was really good, but I didn't really want to read the rest. So they're sitting here on my shelf, unread. I don't know. I don't mind it, but I have to be in the right kind of mood for it.
I think YA really became huge when I was in college. So, and I read a lot of YA stuff in college, like Hunger Games. Well, actually, out of college, it was the tail end of college and after college that I read a lot of YA, which was like Hunger Games, which I have all of those if you ever want to read them. Twilight series. I remember being up, like going and getting the last Twilight book at the midnight drop, and then reading it the rest of the morning until I was done with it. That's how psycho I was about Twilight. And looking back, I'm just like, those books were so terrible. But I did the same thing with Harry Potter. I mean, and that Harry Potter was more before college. I mean, they all came out before I was gone, but like you sat at Walmart at midnight in 2 towns away because your town doesn't have a Walmart, and sat there and waited for the register to open to sell you your Harry Potter book. Yeah, and now I don't really read YA much at all. I mean, I'm looking at my Twilight books, my Hunger Game books, my Harry Potter books. They're all over there, hanging out, reminding me of the past. But I don't know. Yeah, Divergent was not. I couldn't get into Divergent. But you know what? Yeah. You did read YA because like we have here VC Andrews. I feel like VC Andrews was like the first technical YA books because they were targeted at the YA population. They were just like a little too risque, I think, for like nowadays YA. Because there was a lot of incest in those books, like a lot. Yeah, Flowers in the Attic. Whew.
Never read that.
Yeah. You never read that? Mm-mm. That's the one that I started with, was Flowers in the Attic. And you know what's funny? You know why I was so drawn to the VC Andrews books?
Covers?
Do you remember their covers?
Yeah, the step backs.
So like you'd have whatever on the cover, and then you'd open it up and it'd be a whole different picture from what you could. That's the only reason why I started reading those books. It had nothing to do with anything else other than I found one time and I saw the cover and I thought it was so freaking cool that I looked, when you turn the page and you see all the books that they write. And then the Flowers in the Attic was on the top, and I was like, okay, I gotta start there. And I read all the Flowers in the Attic. Then I think I read all of Rubies. And then, I mean, I went through all the old school stuff, like all of them. And then I started to read the ones that were like the orphan ones. Like it was like
The newer
Crystal.
ones, yeah.
And I was like, I don't like these ones. So, and then I think at that point, I moved on to other books. Lemony Snicket was coming out, and yeah, I was all over the place. But yeah, anywho, yeah, Flowers in the Attic, classic. Yeah, it's on your mom's shelf. Yeah, I think about like the books that I read and when I read them, and I think about how I kind of like monitor. I don't anymore because she's old enough. I feel like she can pick out her own books. But like I monitored a lot of what my stepdaughter was reading. 5 years ago, I'd be like, okay, no, because when you start to get into YA, there's a lot of topics in there that I don't think are appropriate for preteens. So it's kind of like you're like edging her into like YA, but also like kind of understanding their maturity level a little bit. And when I was her age, I was reading whenever. I mean, I read a lot. I mean, I was reading Harlequin romance novels when I was in middle school.
Sure.
Because you could just go to Vinnie's and just buy them for $0.25. So if you're wanting something to read, and if you were like us, which I know you're like me, you were reading like a book a day. Like you're just like slamming through books. So you couldn't wait to go to the library and couldn't wait to do this and wait to do that. You just had to like jump right into, the thrift store to be like, oh, I can get like 10 of these. I think one time they were 10 cents. So I like bought 10 of them for $1. I was like, okay. And then you just like, you read them in like 3 days and you're like, well, now what? So my mom actually, I wish I could find them. I'm so upset. My mom had this entire series of books that she used to buy when she was that age, like high school, middle school, where she would used to go to the gas station and buy these little romance books that were for high school age kids, like 99 cents. And she had this entire series and she gave them to me, and I had them like from middle school on, like on a bookshelf. So they got packed away, they're in a storage, or they got thrown away when my brothers went through the storage. But they were like little like high school romance novels, like nothing bad. It was like, oh, they kissed or they held hands or whatever. But I remember reading, like just ripping through those too. And I wish I could find those, because if I could reread, because I still remember like certain things that happened in those books that like I always just think about, like it's very nostalgic for me. And I wish I could find those books. It makes me so sad that they're just gone. I don't know where they went. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure. I have seen like the 80s, or I think it must have been 80s adaptation that was made. I have seen that.
That one's
that's
so
how I knew the
bad.
plot and everything. And it was like, oh my God, another book about incest? It was always incest. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. See, Amy, on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? My Sweet Andrew.
Oh, Audrina. Yeah, I liked that one because that was the only standalone at the time. But now there's a sequel to it that came out a few years ago.
Do you remember the one? Was it Ruth or?
There's Ruby, the Ruby series, and there's Heaven, the Heaven series.
I think it was Ruby. Was Ruby the one where she's like, they're like up in the woods or something? And
in the bayous in Louisiana.
Is that where she like comes down, then she's like adopted by some other chick that was there, and when she gets there, like the lady makes her like take a bath, that she's like scrubbing her skin, like scrubbing the filth off of her or whatever?
That's not Ruby. I reread Ruby last year, and that one was she's a twin but doesn't know she has a twin. So she's living on the bayou with her grandparents, and her twin that she finds out about when they're like 16 or whatever was adopted by this ritzy titsy family in New Orleans. So she goes to stay with them for a while, and like her sister's a mean girl and whatever else. Like, yeah.
I don't think I read that one then. I wonder what that one is. Is it Heaven maybe? No.
It might. There's the Castile series. I don't know if that's also Heaven. If that starts with Heaven, or
I'm gonna have to look it up, because that has like forever like scared me.
Yeah, I remember that.
That one I think of all the time, because then she ends up at some rich, like, uncle, like some rich house, and she falls in love with a dude who lives like on the property,
Yeah.
but on their own, and they're like legit in love, and then you find out that it's her uncle, and you're like, oh, why does everyone always have to be related?
I know.
Because it seems so legit. Like, she got away from all this craziness,
Yeah.
and then like falls in love with this guy, and then it's her uncle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Anywho, I try to keep my kids young. Seriously, too grown. You remember Ruby?
Yep.
It wasn't great back in the day. Don't know how to go now. Yeah.
I know.
Oh.
Yes, I think so. She's in like a wheelchair, or the sister was in a wheelchair.
Maybe it was Dawn.
Oh, maybe it was Dawn.
Man. Maybe it was Dawn.
Mm.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna have to look it up and see. But anywho, let's we're at almost 2 hours, and I think we've done what, 3 sprints? 2 sprints?
2. We've just done 2.
Not enough.
Ah.
We've only done 2 sprints?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we need to get another sprint in here. We talk way too much.
I know.
Everyone's gonna be like, they don't sprint during their reading sprints. They basically just chat the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Allie. BC was one and done for you. Didn't read a lot of Stephen King.
Totally get it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Okay, so it's 6:15 now. 20 minutes would bring us up to 35. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to be turning my camera off because I do have to get something done. So what are we at? 30? We said 35? Yes. Okay. Good luck, everyone. I promise to be better about sprinting. Maybe.
Sure.
Okay. Good luck. Okay. That was another 20 minutes gone. I was able to get some reading done
Yay.
during that sprint. So now I'm in the first time that the best man is talking.
Yeah.
And I really don't like him.
Hmm.
Kind of yeah, loose cannon. So it looks like I'm at 9% of the book completed in Jono's chapter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of have a theory. I've changed my mind. I think it's the groom is gonna die because we have the bride's point of view. So I feel like it's gonna be the groom. And I kind of have a theory of what may have happened, and it's only based on one little line that I heard. And I'm thinking like if I was a writer, what I would do with that one little snippet. So I'm wondering if that's what happened, but we'll see. I'm not going to say it because I don't know. I always have wild, crazy theories, and then none of them come to fruition. So I'm just going to keep that one locked up in my head. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I got to 86, so I'm almost at a Jono chapter again. This is a Julia chapter. Jules, I'm in right now. But yeah, I'm really liking it. Really liking it. And I have a couple of theories too. I think it's the groom that gets killed as well, but I don't know. We've had 2 flashes to the day of the wedding now from where I am, so yeah. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, well, very interesting. How did everyone else do? It looks like we have 18 pages read.
Nice.
Yeah, so good. So good. I wish I knew exactly where you were. So good.
Well, if you're in Jono's first chapter.
Amy, so I'm listening to it on audio, so I won't know exact words, but I'll just send you like what I remember it saying. Yes, I will send you like the line that I'll send you my theory.
So
it's probably wrong, but I won't actually have the actual verbiage. But I'll send you what I'm thinking.
Think if you just started Jono's first chapter, then you're like on page 24, 25.
Yeah, and it's not from his chapter. It's from the +1's chapter when her husband was talking about something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll just tell everybody because now Allie is saying it too, because both of you have read it. Okay, so obviously this isn't going to have any spoilers because I don't really know, but the spoiler would be if Allie or Amy say anything. So don't say anything because I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. But the wife, which I believe her name is Hannah, because we learn her name in a different chapter, she's talking about how her husband went to the stag party and that something weird happened at the stag party, but it was like it was like 3 words and then like she went to a different thought process. So I'm thinking the groom's gonna die because of something that happened at the stag party. Someone who was there at the stag party didn't like whatever happened and killed him. So like I'm thinking, oh, did he like rough up a stripper and like a relative of the stripper is gonna come back and kill him because that, you don't do that to family or, like that's my theory. Like I'm just thinking like stuff like that. So my theory is that he dies and it has something to do with the stag party. That's where I'm at right now. Because the line was something like, if he had gone to the stag party, which the wife thought was weird because he's obviously friends with the bride, and that he said something about this, like that it was weird somehow. Here. And then that's it.
I found it.
Okay.
It could also be to do with Will's stag party. Charlie went, which seemed all wrong as he's Jules' friend. He came home from the weekend in Sweden a bit out of sorts. Every time I even alluded to it, he'd go all weird and stuff. So I shrugged it off. He came back in one piece, didn't he? That's it.
Yeah, and that's it. So when they said that, I was like, something must have happened at that stag party.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, this is for Good Girls Guide. Pip and Ravi just met Nat, the girl from the video. Nat. Yes. Okay. I know where you're at. Okay. That gets so much bigger. Like, oh man, I'm gonna have to reread those books. Seriously. Yes. Keep your trap shut. Guys on the roof said something about that is before something happened. Yeah, like I'm in the roof conversation right now. So I might not have heard what you said.
Is it just Jono and Will where you at right now? Or have the other guys come?
They literally just walked in.
Okay.
And he said, "Oh, I wish it would have just been Will and I."
Mm-hmm.
That's where I stopped right there.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting thought. Oh man. Anywho, okay. Yeah, I'm excited. I love, it's funny because I get so excited about books like this where I'm trying to figure out who done it kind of thing, but I hardly ever read these kinds of books. I really need to start reading them more. Like I really do enjoy like trying to figure out, and sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong. Like the book, if you've been in the live the whole night, I mentioned Death of a Kitchen Diva. I pegged who the murderer was like in the very beginning, but it was kind of like I bet he did it, and then it happened to be the case. But I had so much fun like going along with them that it didn't bother me that I totally called it. But it was so fun being like, I knew it. So I need to read more of these. I need to pick up that T.E. Kinsey series again because I really like the first one, and I need to get back into those. I have the whole series.
And what I like about that series too, this is the Lady Flo and what's her name? It's not Lady Flo.
Flo
it's
and Lady Hardcastle.
Lady Hardcastle. I like those a lot too because you get hints of their past life together, and they're like how they got to be friends and what really happened in India, what really happened here and there, and I like that too because it just gets dropped into each of the books as it goes along. I have 2 more to read. The 2 more came out. I haven't read them yet, so I got to catch up on those too.
You know what they kind of remind me of? I don't know if you ever read them, but the original League of Extraordinary Gentlemen comic books. There's a woman in there, and
I like a big bind up of them.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of that, like where they have this like secret life. It's just Yeah, the if you are familiar with the comic books for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, it's so much better than the movie that came out in the early 2000s.
I do
the
like
movie's
that movie
okay.
I like it.
Yeah, the movie's fine on its own, like if you never read the comics, but the comics are just they're so good. And when you compare them together, you're like, oh my gosh, they did such a crappy job.
Yeah.
But by itself, it's quite good. I did like the film by itself. If I don't consider it being
just a separate thing.
Yeah. So, anywho, I just saw on Facebook that they are doing another Santa Claus movie with Tim Allen.
Oh, really?
And I'm so excited. I don't know why that just popped in my head, but I'm so excited. I'm also really excited for Hocus Pocus. Like, I've been waiting for a second Hocus Pocus since the first Hocus Pocus. So it's like 20 years in the making.
Yeah, and I just watched Hocus Pocus for the first time
30.
last year.
30 years in the making. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, I just watched it for the first time last year, so like it's not.
Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah.
You've never seen Hocus Pocus until last year?
Yeah.
Girl, what else are you keeping from me?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, I've never seen part 3 of Back to the Future. I've never seen that. And I've only seen part 2, I think, one time.
Part 2's, the throwaway.
Yeah, but I've never seen part 3.
I own it. We're watching it next time I come over. It was on Netflix forever.
I know, it's what you told me, and I couldn't find it. It went away by the time I went to find it. Also, we're going to watch the 3rd one in that Gerard Butler action trilogy. We never watched that 3rd one together.
And I've been waiting to see it with you.
Yeah, I know. We both remember it opposite times, and then never remember to see anything. Yeah.
You come here.
Okay.
Movie night. Gerard Butler, man. So good looking.
He really is good looking.
I think it should be against the law to be that good looking.
Yeah, there are a few people on that list for me too. Like, that should not be allowed. I'm sorry, sir. Like Idris Elba. Why does he have to be so attractive? I don't understand. Like, why?
Okay, listen up, Allie. You're gonna be friends with me.
Should we make a list of movies?
You have to watch Hocus Pocus. Yay, Hocus Pocus watch party.
Sure.
Yeah, Hocus Pocus. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's one of those movies that like you hype so much and then someone else will watch it and like it crushes you when they're like, it was okay.
That was very much me. I'm sorry to say.
I'm not even saying like watch it if you want. If you don't, you know what? It's okay. Because it's just I think it's one of those things because you grew up with it and you watched it so many times. Like that is a quintessential movie that I watch in fall. Like I watch that movie every single year. I watch it. Same with A Christmas Story. I watch A Christmas Story like 20 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
Home Alone. Like they're quintessential movies that like I watch them at least once a year. Christmas Story, I'm telling y'all, because they're doing it again. They're doing a sequel or whatever with the big Ralphie as an adult, which I'm really hoping they don't ruin it for me.
I know.
But like I watched that movie so many times during the Christmas season. Like my family gets sick and tired of it because I have it on repeat constantly, all the time.
And when Christmas Day is 24 hours a day.
On TBS, yeah. I absolutely love that movie. I love it. And Home Alone I'll watch all year round. Now that it's on Disney Plus, I mean I own it, but it's on Disney Plus, so I just play it when I'm feeling like, oh, I'll just put it on. And like I hear the music and I hear the stuff. And every time that they put that tarantula on Marv's face, and he screams, I laugh every time. Every single time. I know it's coming. And even if it's just on in the other room and I hear like, ah, ah, and I'm like, he's going to scream and he screams, I laugh. I can't. I just can't. Oh, man. Hallie wants me to send her a list. I really should. I am not sure, Amy.
I think so.
I know that it's going to be on Disney Plus. I just don't know when. It's coming up soon. It's real soon.
It's the end of this month, yeah.
Yeah, because it was Disney Plus Day on the 8th, which they released Pinocchio and some other things, but yeah. Allie.
That's okay. She's British.
We're going to need a moment of silence.
September 30th is Hocus Pocus 2.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and it won't. It won't. Yeah. But I think what's really great and what I'm happy about is they have the original people playing them. And I didn't see a preview for it, but I saw Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and I can't remember the other lady's name, which is so rude.
Kathy Najimy.
Thank you. They were watching like a preview-ish. It wasn't really a preview, but it was like just kind of a preview. I watched them watching that, and their excitement for it got me really excited. So that's all I've seen. I haven't seen any other previews for it. That is even more awesome. Yeah, I don't know how you could fake that. It's like a blood curdling. So amazing. I love that. I love it. Yes, September 30th for Hocus Pocus. Yeah, there's a ton of awesome stuff coming out, it seems, lately that I think with these streaming services, they're just having so much more availability and just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they don't really have any restrictions when it comes to certain things. So they're just like producing these amazing TV shows and movies because they can just release them and it doesn't matter what it does in the box office because they are being streamed so much more frequently that they're just having the ability to produce better stuff. And it's really been a nice time to watch, to have those shows. I do miss a little bit of like the hype of like, you know, sitting down on the day of when it releases and like getting there and, you know, running to the bathroom during commercial breaks and that kind of stuff. But I mean, I also really like binging shows, so you have that too.
Yep.
Like Virgin River and Bridgerton, which we binge it in one day and then we gotta wait an entire year for it to come out again.
Yeah, pretty much. Mm-hmm.
Well, we've been at it for almost 2.5 hours. We've done 3 sprints. Should we do at least one more?
I think we probably should, just for reading's sake.
I mean, we really should stop calling these reading sprints and call them chatting sprints because we do a lot of chatting. And I don't know how it gets this bad. I mean, other people do read and they're able to sprint a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are just chatting away. Chatty. You know what it is other people do sprints by themselves, whereas you and I are able to talk to each other. So, and I just can't, I mean, it's really me. I really talk a lot. But I also am with a baby all day long. So I have no one else to talk to. So you're my people.
Yeah, she's not great at the talking just yet. She's a little small.
Yeah, little gabbles.
Mm-hmm.
Gabbles. But yeah. Okay, let's do another sprint. I'm gonna try to get some work done and listen to the book. And good luck, everyone. It looks like we're at 54, so we'll say it's 55. Go 20 minutes to 15.
Sounds good.
We'll see where we're all at. Good luck. Okay. I'm at 15%.
Nice.
I'm in the second time that Hannah talks. So I finished a round of Olivia, another Jules, and now I'm in Hannah again.
Nice. So there's 5 people we hear from because we hear from Aoife at first too. I forgot about.
Yeah, who was the first person we? Yeah, we heard from the wedding planner first.
Yeah, Aoife. Mm-hmm.
And
Aoife,
then
Jules,
Hannah,
Olivia,
Jono. 5 people so far. I wonder if we'll get more. Have you seen any more?
So it's been just those 5, but then there's little like pages or like paragraphs or whatever that are just a general thing about that jumps to the wedding night when a body's been found. So there's quick jumps to that are just you see everyone together, but you're not getting one's point of view.
Because aren't we technically in present time right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got to page 120. Yeah. That was the fastest 20-minute sprint ever. I feel like I just blinked and all of a sudden here we are again. I know.
I got 1 listing done, if that. Which is super weird when you're listening to a book and then you're also reading things. Because I'm like paying attention to the book, but I'm also reading listing information. Yeah. Goofy. How did everyone else do? Looks like Amy got another 23 pages to 154.
Nice.
Most books are, I think, you've got like 100 pages left, maybe? A little more? Man, they're so good. You're going to be up late tonight, girlfriend, because I think you've hit the point of no return. If I remember those books accurately. Oops. The ones from the character's point of view are from the day before the wedding. Okay. Yeah, you guys are like right at the same point, 127. Allie read 2 chapters, but they're very short chapters.
That's not bad.
That's good.
That's good.
They're not, Gabriel Garcia Marquez chapters.
Endless.
Oh, endless. Endless. Yeah. Yeah, we got some fast readers in here.
I might have to finish this tonight.
I don't know what that. You're gonna finish it tonight?
I might. I mean, I'm coming in on halfway through, so almost halfway through.
Yeah, it looks like I have an hour and 41 minutes read. So I have 8 hours and 41 minutes read or left. So at 1.75, it'll take me like maybe 5 hours to listen to that. I mean, I'm not doing that tonight, but like.
Right. Okay, so page 155 would be halfway for me, and I'm on 120. So yeah, I'm almost halfway. I really, really want to know what happens.
Well, if you finish it, don't tell me.
I know.
I want to be shocked and awed. This kind of reminds me of when I listened to the book by Alice Feeney called Sometimes I Lie.
Yeah.
That book was like freaking me out the entire time I was reading it. Like I was just like, oh, what? Oh, what? And then I was like slowly trying to figure things out. And then at the end, I was just like, what? And I remember listening to the very end of that book. Like, I think I like put it to like 2.5 speed because I wanted so bad to figure out what was happening. And I was like supposed to be going to bed or something. And I was like, I just need to hear what's happening. I just need to finish it. So I made it go really, really fast. But this book is reminding me of that. Like, where there's just all these elements. There's so many different elements and different kind of characters, and all these characters are messed up in some way. Like definite trigger warnings in this book for sure. For self-harm and major anger issues,
drinking and bullying. I suspect miscarriage. You know,
there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening in this book. Lots and lots of stuff. Oh, 380. Okay, so you might be able to stop tonight. But I'm telling you, you'll know what I mean when you hit a certain point. Maybe it's after like page 200 or something like that. It's like you can't stop. You just there's no good point to just like, okay, I can put this down. It just stuff keeps happening. And because the chapters are so short in that book, you can't stop. Can't stop. Yeah, tons of trigger warnings. Yeah. Which, I mean, that's a common conversation point on BookTube is trigger warnings. And is it our duty to tell readers about trigger warnings? Is it the author's duty to do that? You know, in some senses, like, there are some times where I wish I knew about a trigger warning, or I wish I saw a trigger warning.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like, I'm a big girl, so, like, if I don't like something, I'll stop reading.
Right.
I mean, there's really only one thing that I absolutely hate in books that I would want to know about. I hate when it comes up, and it just makes me so mad. But a lot of other stuff, if I don't really like it, I just kind of breeze through it.
Yeah.
And try to come to terms with it because it's something that is going to mean something to the book. But I have seen in some young adult books that there are trigger warnings in the front.
Oh yeah, and if you look on Goodreads in the like not even in the reviews, but like in that top part, they'll have a huge chunk of trigger warnings, and it's like, isn't that most of the book that you're just giving away by listing everything? I mean,
yeah,
I understand it, but my gosh.
Yeah, I do appreciate it in young adult because I do think that age group, they are the most triggered by those things, which
I suppose
to me is like, well, why even have it in the book then? Like, you're just trying to not offend, but like you're trying to set these people off because they're already completely emotional about everything. So, but yeah, it is a little Veronica Mars. But I feel like I like Pip more than I like Veronica Mars because what Good Girl's Guide to Murder has that Veronica Mars didn't is the lack of teenage angst. Veronica Mars was like totally in every, like, first she was with the one guy, then she was with the other guy, then she was back with the other guy, then she was back with the other guy. It was like, can we stop with this already? And then if you watched the reboot, the way that ended was redonkulous. So mad. Stupid. So mad. So mad. Yeah, you might be. EGM chapter, an entire.
Seriously. They just, yeah, it's just a book. So it's like 3 novellas pushed together is him. That's him.
It's annoying. It's books like that I think to myself, were these written as short stories and then you globbed them all together to be a book? Because that would make sense. Because short stories, 50 pages, that makes sense. That's a short story. Small novella, like you said. But why? Why do that to me? What is it?
The one thing you don't like in books.
Oh, I don't like rape.
Mm-hmm.
It bothers me. I don't like it. I don't like it in TV shows. I don't like it anywhere. It is triggering for me. So I don't like it. That's why I can't read Outlander, and that's why I stopped watching Outlander. It's like that whole world is just too much. It's too much. And it's
Yeah, the cast was savage. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it's very real, and it happens every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks. And when I read, especially, I mean, and the thing that it is for me is I can't get it out of my head. Like, that's what the problem is. It's not so much that the scene itself, it's that after I've read a scene like that, it takes me a really long time to get it out of my head. And that is what is bothersome. Not actually the moment that I'm reading it or the moment that I see it, it's the months and years it takes me to get the images that have happened because of that out of my head. Because they'll just
And
like
that way with
randomly
animal
pop up.
stuff.
What's
Yeah,
that?
and that way with animal stuff, I can't, like, any kind of animal abuse, or like if someone gets injured or like kicks something, I'm like, nope,
Mhm.
I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah.
This will haunt me the rest of my life. Thanks very much. Because there's no excuse for it. It does
Mm-hmm.
nothing. There's other ways to
Mm-hmm.
show that someone is a bad person than by abusing an animal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
come on. So I get it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the only reason why. Like, I mean, that's literally the only reason why. It's because it just takes so long for me to get it out of my head. It's just not worth it to me. It took a really long time to get the scene from Outlander out of my head. Like, yeah, and even like Little Bee, I still like it's taking me a really long time. Like, it's not as bad now because it's been a while. It's been like I read that in 2020. So it's been 2 years, but it still pops up every once in a while. And I'm just like, oh, I hate that book.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what it is it's because it just glues itself in my brain and I can't get it out for a really long time. So that's all. Most other things I can handle. Yeah, don't think it's the responsibility of the author, reviewer, or booktuber to provide
Right.
trigger warnings. It's impossible to know what a trigger to. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, someone telling me, yeah. Usually too is, and I appreciate that if someone will say it, I'll be like, oh, okay, like it is what it is. Um, and I know a couple years ago, there is some people on BookTube who are doing a tag about sex in books and, what's the literary value of a sexual encounter in a book, and is it just romance, whatever, and that's a whole different topic. But I really appreciated Heather over at Soggy Expat Book Nerd. I think that's her channel name.
Yep.
Because she did that tag, and she, unbeknownst to her, let me know that like there's a ton of crap in the Outlander books that are definite trigger warnings. Like I wouldn't have been able to handle it. So I was appreciative of that. I think there's a lot more to that conversation than was done because I have a whole lot to say about that topic based on, sex in books, romance versus literary fiction, all that kind of stuff. But again, it's like I don't have time for that. But I do think that when it's a bunch of dudes talking about it, it doesn't really mean anything to me, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my 2 cents on that. So I appreciated Heather's point of view because she mentioned a lot of stuff in there that I think is important to recognize. So but that's all I'm going to say about that. And that's been over 2 years now since all that went down. So, yeah. Yeah, hard pass, definitely.
Yep. I just won't do it. I do. For the animal stuff, I absolutely do.
I do. Yeah, I think it's the same, but it's really only the one thing. And violence in general, I'm not a big. There's violence like, and then there's action films. Like there's violence in action films, but it's like they're beating each other up. But like violence as like gory violence or like killing violence, like where it's like what's his name that does like the uh what's his name, Manson or
Could be anybody.
I don't know.
What's
There's
that does that.
that does all these like really horrific movies, and I'm just like, why? So violence, I don't really watch a lot of violence.
Oh, Rob Zombie.
Yes, thank you. Why do I say Manson? I'm thinking Marilyn Manson because he's gross too sometimes. Like what are you doing? But yeah, I don't like violent movies. Violent books. It's like, ugh.
I don't mind if it's people.
It's
usually,
real. It's like people do that stuff.
Yeah, if it's just violent to be violent, like Rob Zombie, I won't watch that stuff. But I used to really like violent. I used to love watching horror movies and stuff. I was really, really into it when I was a teenager and like younger 20s and stuff. I was really into it. Not like I don't know, but I just liked it. It didn't bother me. And the older I get, the more it does bother me. But it's always been that way with me for animal stuff. That's my only thing. So, yep, I just won't watch it. Or if I know if an animal dies, I will never watch it. I will never watch Marley and Me. You cannot pay me to watch that movie or read that book.
Yeah.
Never.
I think I have seen that.
That was my childhood dog. And there's no way. There's no way in hell. I don't think it's entertaining. I don't think it's heartwarming. I think it's terrible and torturous. I just can't. Nope. No way.
I remember watching Where the Red Fern Grows in
no, never.
School, and that I sobbed, just sobbing. And I didn't even have books, but yeah. Oh,
when I was a kid, I got excused from reading that, from watching Old Yeller, and from another book that's sort of like Where the Red Fern Grows, but it's not that, but like that same kind of book, But I got exempt because I couldn't read it. I mean, I couldn't. But everyone knew, my teachers all knew I read a lot anyways. They were fine with me not reading that one book. So.
Yeah. Anywho, well, I think we've been here for a full 3 hours. I think it's time to call it a night. I have to say a big shout out and thank you to everyone who has been here, who's been hanging out with us. And I want to especially reach out to everyone and say thank you for everyone who has reached out to me over the course of the last few months. I haven't really been present on my personal channel, Spenelli Speaks. It's been a lot of, ebbs and flows here, being in and out of the hospital, doctor's appointments and whatnot. It is a lot easier for me to do these live things than it is to sit down and be able to film and then edit and then all that fun stuff. So thank you, Melissa, if you're still here, especially you've reached out to me on several occasions, and I've really been there to chat. So thank you. And everyone else, obviously, if you're watching this in replay, all of you out there as well. But I think we will call it a night. For those of you who are reading with us for September, I hope that you're enjoying the guest list as much as we are. And hopefully you'll join us in October. We have our 3 books that we will be voting on. And these will be up on our channels and in the comments by tomorrow. So again, there's 3 places to vote. You can vote in the comments of our new release video that was done today at 4 p.m. You can do it on Laura's channel in her comment section, or her community tab, and then also on Spenelli Speaks community tab. I'll post something for that as well, for the October books. But yeah, I think we'll call it a night. As Allie said, this concludes our chat-in.
I know. Seriously.
Yeah, we do a lot of chatting, but as long as you're here for it, that's okay with us. So I apologize if anyone's tuning in and wanted to read. We got a few in there. I mean,
An hour's
almost
worth.
1 hour.
Yeah. Of the 3.
Yeah, of the 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, anywho, well, we'll call it a night, and we will see you. When's the next time we will see everyone?
In 2 weeks for a new product release, and then to discuss the guest list right afterwards.
Awesome. Well, perfect. Well, thanks everyone. Y'all have a good night, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.